Okay.
Okay, guys, let's see. Now, am I there? I am. I want to welcome everybody to our Wednesday night conversations with Cougars. And I'm so pleased to have my longtime friend and classmate, Geri Wright, is with us. She was the original first Goldie, first mascot of our school. And
Yes.
Geri, thank you so much. It's so good to see your smiling face, and I'm so glad that you're here with me tonight. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you. I'm so glad to be back. So many memories getting ready for this.
Oh
Good
my
memories.
gosh, I know. Just looking back at the old photos of you in the Goldie costume and
Mm-hmm.
some of the cool newspaper articles, some really cool things. Let's just
Yes.
start right there. How you and I came in the class of 86, so we started in the fall of 82. The school had already been a school for about 4 or 5 school terms,
4
but
years.
but there was no mascot at that point, to my knowledge. When I
There
mean
was not.
mascot, of course, we were the Cougars, but a live mascot on the field or at the court. How did that come about? How did you become the first Goldie?
Well, I actually went to church at Calvary with Coach Hicks, Coach Parrish, Coach Singletary, Coach somebody else. I'm forgetting somebody at Calvary. And I babysat Coach Parrish's kids, Josh and Jenny, when they were younger. And the year before we were there, our 8th grade, my brother was a senior. So was, I think, Anita Hogan's brother was, there were several of my friends and their brothers were senior, state champ year. And the next year, our freshman year, they implemented the C average or above to play sports. So I was at Coach Parrish's one night, babysitting his kids, doing homework, and I'm in 9th grade. And he said, "Hey, can you do high school math?" And because I've always been like a math guru, I love it. And I was like, "Yeah." So he says, "Hey, I've got some guys that I need tutored." And I think it was like 5 or 6 guys. Are they not going to be able to play ball? Like come ball time. So, and I was one of the last, I was actually the last class that females could take weightlifting. And I took a weightlifting class. It was me and 2 other girls in that class. Anyway, so during weightlifting, I had 5 or 6 senior football players that were going to passing, and I was teaching them math. And I remember like years later, people saying like, "Oh my God, he was so good looking." I'm like, "But he couldn't even do 3 and 2-digit division." So it was so fun. So Coach Parrish gave me tickets, like free tickets to all the games if I would coach these guys. So now fast forward, 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, we're 12th grade, 11th grade year, Coach Hicks had a meeting and said, "How can we, I was vice president of Pep Club that year. How can we get more pep? How can we get more people involved?" And I was like, "Well, why don't we have a mascot? Nothing I has a tiger. Like, why don't we have a cougar?" He was like, "I don't know. Look into that." So went to Miss Hemby. It cost a whole lot of money back then. There was no funding for it. My mother and Donnie Morris's mother had a sewing business over on not far from Gerard Avenue. And so my mom was like, "Well, I'll make it. Like, we'll just get some fake fur, we make it." So we went, my mom tried to figure out how to make the head. We got a beach ball and did like paper mache, like old school, like elementary school. And she made the nose and the tail, and we put a wire hanger in it. And became our mascot. So, and then we had a contest. People put in like several names, and then the whole school voted on it, and Goldie was the winner. And I actually think Carla Hemby was the one that suggested Goldie, if I remember correctly. But that's how I came to life.
That's
It was
such a
fun. It
great
was neat.
origin, such a great origin story. And then
Yes.
how is it that you then became the first Goldie?
Oh, Coach Parrish was like, "Okay, that's you. You got it." Yeah. And Miss Cindy was like, "Well, how are you going to get to the games? How are we going to get there?" Coach Parrish was like, "Well, you can ride with us." I was like, "Yeah." But no, I rode with the cheerleaders. I was a cheerleader. So it was so much fun.
That is so great. Now, when did you start performing with the cheerleaders at pep rallies or games? Did that begin at the beginning of the football season?
Yes, because like it was like the end of junior year. We're kind of like, how can we pep it up? Because like I said, my brother graduated the year we were 8th grade. And that was the first 4-year class graduating was that year. I mean, then our senior class, of course, were state champs. They were like, that was just such a wonderful time. And they were like, okay, well, you do it. Cause you know, my mom offered to me, I looked into it. My mom made the outfit. So I just kind of like was voluntold, as they say in the Army, but I loved it.
Yeah. Well, you were the perfect person for the role. That's absolutely clear.
It was so
anybody
fun.
who saw you or around you, you had as much school spirit as anybody in the school during our years. So it certainly fit you to be the first Goldie. Now, did you go off to cheerleading competition that summer with them?
No, I went to Calvary and I actually worked at Calvary. And I did like vacation Bible schools and stuff. And there wasn't really, I did some cheerleader pyramids, but I was like, you know, the base in the center, you know, where I prop somebody up because it's hard with the head would just come right off. So I couldn't really, you know, do some stuff, but I was cheering. I had pom-poms, but as far as like really doing, you know, flips or anything, no. But yeah, it was so much fun. I always do cheer the crowd on. I loved it.
Well, I know that costume had to have been so hot.
Oh my gosh, yes.
When our first game, if you remember, that first game was against Lee on the Monday after the hurricane. It was unbelievably humid, middle of the afternoon. I could not imagine you having to keep that uniform or that costume on, and that head. The head was so big.
Yes, because my mom was trying to think of a way to form it to make, we ended up putting padding inside of it later on with duct tape because it was like a paper mache. So it like itched, it would like hit my head. Yes, and remember that game was the week before school started. Remember, we didn't start school the following Tuesday, I think. Mm-hmm. And everyone was like, what is this? Like, where did you come from? Who are you? In the first 3 games, nobody knew it was me. Like the cheerleaders knew, and like Chris Lee knew, and a couple people knew, but they were like, who is that? So that was a part of the fun of it too. And I remember me and Robert Terrell every year, like, you remember, go ahead. I get so excited. I'm sorry.
No, this is awesome. Geri, this is just fantastic. When did you first start performing with the, at the pep rallies?
Yeah, after the very first pep rally, they introduced me, you know, as like, here's our Goldie, you know, and no one said who it was. So I never took my head off in front of people. I would have to go like at halftime or whatever, into the bathroom in Northview Stadium and like take my hat off. I would like literally pour ice down me. I was so hot. And they actually had that same suit for, I think, another year or 2 more years. And then they bought like an official, you know, mascot outfit. And and Andrews, Coach Andrew, Mr. and Mrs. Coach Andrews, they went to church with them too. And she said it was in a trophy case till it just dry rotted. Like it was in there forever. So I have pictures of that as well.
I remember it being in there. And Geri, one of the Goldies many years after us is watching tonight, Erin Amanda Howell. And she wanted to know, did the football players ever rush the court in pep rallies after this for you and pick you up and carry you all over the gym like they did me? Erin, Coach Parrish would never have allowed anything like that. No. We had to be businesslike the whole time until the kickoff. That's awesome memories for you. And I'm going to get you on here hopefully in the upcoming weeks. But no one knew for quite a while that Geri was our Goldie. But everybody knew that there was Goldie from the first game on because you were so animated and so involved with the crowd and the game. And I know that you knew the sport of football, but here's my question for you. How well could you see out of the head of it? Could you see fairly well, or was it pretty limited?
It had big like mesh eyes, you know, like the mesh like you do like military kind of. So I would look out of one eye or the other. I couldn't see like out of both eyes. So I would like kind of like do my shoulder up to hold the head to look, you know, where I was going. Because I was thinking about it the other day. I saw David Hogan about 2 months ago, and there was a game. We were out of town. And I was cheering on the side, and he caught the ball like in the air, and they kind of like attacked him like as he caught the ball, and they were like, "Look out, Goldie!" And I turned around, and his cleat caught me like right in the chest, and I was like, boom, and I hit the ground. So they were freaking out. I had cleat marks like for 4 days. And I mean, I was still laughing, you know, because it was so exciting, but they was like, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. Hey, sweetie. And my husband, I just remarried last year. I told you that. And we actually dated when we were 15 at Northview. So that's fine.
Oh, that's so awesome.
He worked late. Now he's working on something. Thank you. It's so fun. It's like we're 17 all the time. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And for those of you who are just joining, I'm with Geri Wright, one of my classmates. She was the original Goldie, and you can hear and feel her enthusiasm right now. You guys should have seen it when we were in high school. She was the epitome of Northview spirit. Absolutely was the best choice for our first Goldie. What was so fun about being Goldie for you?
I got to do so many other things, like encouraging the little kids, you know, and keep getting everybody excited. One thing I miss, and I work at school now, is we had such camaraderie. No matter who you were, we were all one team. If it was football, we were there. If it was baseball, we were there. If it was basketball, we were there. No matter who, we all encouraged each other, supported each other, and we just enjoyed like day-to-day life. And high school was, that's my biggest heartbreak, is that this pandemic and these last couple of years, like Northview is now no longer exist. And it's heartbreaking for me. It's such a different environment. It's so sad, but I would go do, I went to, Mothers Against Drug Drivers. I went there and did like a little commercial thing for them, you know, as a Cougar spirit and as a teenager and as a human being caring for each other's lives. Because, you know, we weren't so techno then. You know, we went outside, like you said, I think you and Chris saying, we rode our bikes and we, you know, went to the ball games and we had bonfires. They don't do that stuff anymore. But I got to go, I did Boys Club and Girls Club. I went and talked to them about staying in school and all the activities they could do in schools. That was, you know, no one's ever called me bashful. So that was a great thing for me to get to do.
Well, Geri,
you're freezing up on me, hon.
You represented our school in so many different capacities and different parts of society. It was just so great. But we got a bunch of folks here who want to say hello to you tonight. Tim Bright says to tell you hello.
How is he?
Tara Wade Estes is watching with. Shirley C says, so great to see you.
Her too. I just watched her video with you.
Still the #1 watched most popular video in this series, and she's
amazing. She was like the epitome of Northview.
That's right. Jason Mullins with Awesome School Spirit, a couple years behind us. He usually watches. So
awesome.
Thank you guys all.
You're breaking up on me. I can't really hear you.
Says he's doing well. Thank you. Tim, we've got some issues tonight, Geri. I don't know.
I think it's the weather.
The internet is unstable. It must
okay,
be.
we'll power
We'll
through.
Keep pushing through.
Absolutely.
What was it about football games that was exciting for you?
Oh my gosh, just everything. I still love football to this day, and I'm an Auburn fan. But I love college so much more than pro, because college, they still love the game of football. You know, pro, not everybody, not back in our day, but now it's about how much money. But at college, they still, even the little kids, we're going to go watch. My husband has nieces and nephews that play ball now. And I was team mom for my kids. I coached t-ball with my oldest. I was team mom for football. Coach Latta was my son's coach when he was 10. I have a lot of connection to the other coaches. It's so funny. But yeah, so I just being on the field, the sound of the, you know, what year was it when we all went to a football game during a class reunion? Remember that?
Probably 96.
And they introduced us. Remember we all kind of sat up there? Yeah. So that's so much fun. That it was just the environment, the smell, the cheers. I just love it. I miss it now.
take us from a pep rally our senior year to pre-game to game to halftime. Take us through that as Goldie.
Pretty much me. I call it Sagittarius syndrome. I never had a routine. Like I never drove the same way, drove my dad crazy, but I would go through like Carrie and I pretty much, or Ramona would be like, okay, this is what we're going to do. You come in here. And I kind of watched them in the gym when we were, doing the workout things, not in my uniform, of course, just watching them and doing stuff. And I always made sure to like exaggerate my movements, because I had a big head for one, and then two, you would see, because I'm not like this and don't look like nothing. So I was always, big and out there. So I'd watch them, see what routine they were doing, kind of encourage the crowd to cheer for them or watch them doing their stuff. In the pep rallies, I knew like when I was coming out. And then of course the game like was just crazy. So much fun. I always cheer. I was in the student section, cheering them on. One time I had to pretend like one of the police officers wouldn't let me across the gate. You froze up. I'm waiting. I don't know if you can still see me or not.
Because you weren't in costume? They wouldn't? Yeah,
I was
I
in
can see
costume.
you just fine.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
at the game.
Now, pre-game.
At the game, I was in costume, right?
No, during the game or pre-game, did you ever visit with the opposing team's mascot?
Sometimes I act like I was tiptoeing, like funnily or joking around or whatever. Or I just do like, just never ugly, never bad, never mean. And like with the Dothan High Tiger and I, it was like a posed picture, we're posing like I was hitting the tiger. And something happened and we didn't take the picture of them hitting me. And I heard about that for weeks. They were so mad. Hey, we didn't get to hit you. And we won. So that was big fun. But yeah,
well, Geri, I know you have so many memories from
on
the court, on the field. But let's back away from sports. Let's talk about school life.
Okay.
Talk to us about some of your favorite teachers or memories or classes and things like that.
Oh my gosh. And I have made a list even of like things to remember. Mr. Hughes' class, I've said on the top. Chris Lee and I have always been buddies, me and Chris and Mike Lewis. And we had this funny thing. And I said, talking through you last couple of weeks, like getting ready for this, I was trying to like think of, we would have a roll of masking tape, right? And I sat in the row behind him, like 6 people behind him. When Mr. Hughes was doing a lecture, what was that, science, I think, physical science maybe? Wasn't he? Well, we would roll.
Chemistry or science.
Yeah. So we would write a note like on the tape around from one side to the other. And then like I'd roll it up to Chris and he'd pull the tape off, tape it on the page, and then write a note back when Mr. Hughes was looking, then we'd roll it back. So the time we were done, he almost caught us one time. I had like almost a whole notebook full of these taped. No, it was just crazy, goofy stuff, just being goofy stuff. But he was always a really good teacher. And I really, really respected him and appreciated him. He was really good with us. Because there's some teachers that just didn't look. Actually, that was more when I worked there. I don't remember any teacher just being against us. I remember all our teachers, like you said, being at ball games with us, supporting us, encouraging us. Of course, nobody can forget Miss Hooks. Everybody loves Miss Hooks. She's hard as all get out on us, but everybody loved Miss Hooks. Do you remember, I was thinking about, Suzanne and I messaged the other day on Facebook, Miss Thomas. She was English, and our English teacher, and she was the one we swore that she drank. She had a little coffee mug, and then they had the big glass windows, and she had a filing cabinet, and she'd like get the little bottle and she'd wave at us and stuff. And it was Eric, Geri, and Suzanne Wright, all 4 years. We had homeroom together and we had classes. So in alphabetical order, Eric sat in front of me and then me and Miss Thomas' class. And she called us Orville and Wilbur, like the whole year. Eric's like, she's a girl, right? But she was something. She remember she'd wear like the same color shoe, but a different one. And she's walking uneven. Or she'd fall asleep during a test. I never forget, Jennifer Bozeman was putting down a test paper like really quietly. And she jumped up and like hollered at her because she was asleep. And we were like, this lady's cuckoo. Like, what's wrong with her? But I'm rambling now because I'm just thinking of different things.
Yeah, but Geri, you're sharing some awesome some awesome memories.
Oh yeah.
They really are. And the one thing that I've always appreciated about you is you've always had such an upbeat attitude. You've always been such a positive person. You could be having the crappiest of days, but nobody will see
Yes.
that. You're the
No.
one pumping up everybody. And I want to step back from school for a minute because
Okay.
after high school, you ended up in our military.
Yes.
And I want to thank you on behalf of everyone. And in fact, I know that you're not a boastful person, but it does need to be stated. I know that you suffered injury while you were serving our country, and I know
Yes.
you've come through it, and you just continue to thrive. So on behalf of myself and everyone else, we do thank you for your service and hope that you're doing well or doing okay from your injury.
I'm actually going through some medical processes right now. I've got something going on, and we're not sure what, but my grandmother told me when I was a little girl, she gave me a little candle thing, like, and it said, be the bright moment in someone's day. So I thought, I don't know what somebody else is dealing with. So I'm just going to try to spread joy when I can and where I can. When I was in the Army in Texas, when I first got injured, I went to San Antonio to see a specialist for my spine. And when I was there, this was in 2007. And that was where remember I left for basic training 2 weeks after our 20-year class reunion. I've got a picture of me with you and Shane and Mike and Chris Maddox and Calvin Bottoms, somebody else, that might be it. But anyway, and I left 2 weeks later. But there was where the real injuries came from Iraq. And they had people that had 80% of their body burned, second and third degree burns, that were missing 1 or 2 or 3 limbs. And I thought, I'm injured, yeah, and I'm in pain, but I will never complain because it's nothing compared to what they go through. So I volunteer. I still to this day, I will find stuff and sell stuff and donate to the Fisher House, which is a program that helps family members of injured soldiers. So if your family member, say, is in Maryland and they're very injured and you go visit, they have a place for you to stay that doesn't cost you anything. They give rides. Like I would volunteer when I was still at Fort Bragg to drive family members on and off base because it was very confusing. Whatever I could to help, always.
Geri, tell us, we have many, many families, many Cougars who are either have been in the military or family members in the military. I don't know of the Fisher House. If someone wants to get involved or wants to donate or participate, is there a website or do you know how to get in touch or how people can get in touch with the Fisher House?
I don't know, like this out of the top of my head right this second, but I will look it up and I will send it to you so we can link it on there. But like I said, it's if your son, your father, your husband is injured, your daughter, your wife, your sister, your mother, you can, like wherever base they're at, it's a program to help because that can be months of therapy, months of your soldier going through surgeries or rehabilitation, and they need the support of their family. But that could cause a financial hardship, for a family. Everyone can't just uproot. So that's what the Fisher House does, is buy donations of people for money, things, bedding, clothing, whatever may be needed to support the family member of the soldier. Because we're all battle buddies. Like you're all brothers and sisters.
So important. Well, thank you for telling us, or at least telling me about it. And we're going to skip the word out.
And I will look it up. I promise I will send it to you.
I know you will. And guys who are just joining us or may join us on the replay, I'm talking with Geri Wright, the first Goldie, and as much Cougar spirit as anybody has ever had who's come through Northview High School. After high school, Geri, after military, you actually gave back and were employed by the city of Dothan in the school system. And
yes, I did that before.
You ended up working, you said earlier,
at Northview.
It was before the military.
Yes.
Well, tell us a little bit about that experience. When was it? What did you do? And how was it when you're now a peer to some of our former high school teachers?
Yeah, so weird. It was before I went in the military, and I worked as a special education teaching assistant with special needs children. And I also, while I was there, I was the assistant for the debate team. And I just forgot her name, and I'm so mad about that. But because I had my CDL. So I drove the debate team. We went to Montgomery, we went to Tuscaloosa. I can't remember where all we went. And I would study with the students. And I was like, dang, we didn't know all this stuff, when we were in school. And that would have, let's see, been mid-late 90s till 2001. That's actually, I left when I got divorced from my first husband. I moved to Maryland. But yeah, that was so weird, going to the teacher's lounge and like sitting down next to Miss Hooks or Miss Hemby or, somebody sitting there and like having a conversation. And I felt like a student. I was an adult. I was grown. I had kids. I was married, but I still was like, I'm going to the teacher's lounge. So yeah, that was fun. And I really appreciated it. I got a lot of good, positive feedback, and you see things from a different angle. Like when we were kids and now that we're parents, we see the things maybe we didn't understand at the time. So yeah, and like I said, it's changed so much now. So then when I got out of the military, I was injured. In a special education, you have very debilitated children. Some you had to pick up and lift, and I injured my spine and my neck and my hip, and I could no longer lift. So I came back, and did you see what I sent you? I'm a transportation specialist for Dothan City Schools, AKA a bus driver. So I also tutor. I've tutored math ever since I was like in middle school. Like since my dad retired from military, we came here in 7th grade, and we were 2 years ahead of Alabama. We were from North Dakota. So I actually spent my first year tutoring the kids in my math class because I was way ahead of them. I was like, okay, great. But anyway, so now my students that ride my bus, high school, elementary, middle, whatever, if parents okay it, I tutor them for free, math and English. For a little while, I was helping out the Alfred Saliba Center, teaching language or English as a second language. I know poquito español, so a little bit of Spanish, and people that and a lot of people, it was older people, grandparents and stuff, and they lived their whole lives and they really couldn't read. But now they have grandchildren that say, read to me, Grandpa, and they don't want to say, I don't know how to read. And my parents both were avid readers. We were military, we traveled. So I'm a firm believer you can go anywhere and learn anything in a book. And you can go to the library and get one for free, check it out and bring it back. So I said it was an honor and a privilege to teach them the joy of reading. So, but my students, I help them with spelling words sometimes, math, but I don't charge my students like on my bus. But I have like people I work with. Anita Hogan, for example, she was a teacher and then assistant principal and the principal. And I knew her since we were 7th grade. We've been good friends. And then she is now a professor in Florida. And her son was going to go to Florida to college, and he had to take the PERT test, and it was different than Alabama. So she knew that I did that because I drove for her school, and she came and she would tell me, because I would give the kids like stickers for, 100 on test and A's in conduct or S in conduct or whatever. And she said, I've never seen in all my years a group of students so excited. I can't wait to show Miss Gabby what I made, because I was, and so if nothing else, that makes me feel good that I inspire them or somebody to do and be their best.
Guys, isn't she infectious? Isn't that enthusiasm just awesome? And guys, that's almost 24/7. That's Geri.
Yeah.
And Geri, I'm so proud of what you do to give back and to pay it forward. And I'm proud to call you friend. And I love these stories, and your journey has just been so, I know it's been one of ups and downs,
Yes.
but it's always up for you.
And
it is. Now,
yeah, I'll reel
I
it
want
in.
you, because of your experience being a parent and a school bus driver, and all around the kids these days, I want you to compare a little bit of our experience in the 80s with what you see with the modern child these days. And I say modern child, I mean this generation.
Nowadays, it's different, yes. And real quick, I want to say to you how much I loved all the time your letters to your girls. I would get the biggest kick out of them. I
Oh,
look
wow.
forward to them. I love them so much. You're so cute and so funny. And then your TikTok videos, just they're adorable. So, and I always admire you because I know
Oh,
you've been through a
we're
lot.
not talking about
I
that
know,
tonight.
but still, but I've always
We're not
enjoyed
talking about
that. I was daddy's
Well,
girl,
thank
and
you.
my
You're
father
very
passed
sweet.
away, so I got a big kick out of you and your daughter's adorable. Now,
Thank you. You're
prior
very
to the
sweet.
pandemic, you're welcome. Prior to the pandemic was different than now. So it's a whole different kind of sadness almost. There's so much more animosity. There's no like togetherness. You know, like we would go to school, it didn't matter who or what or where. We all, like I said, were one team. You know, we cheered together, we prayed together, we, you know, ate together, we did stuff and encouraged one another. And here was always competition and the phones. I read now how many hours a day kids spend like on text, and I know we do too. We're adults, and this is the new thing. So that was always kind of sad to me. And I was driving for Dothan High for 2 years prior to Northview being depleted, and now Dothan High is now at Northview, but all the kids all merged together. So Dothan High School is now Dothan Preparatory Academy. It's 7th, 8th, and 9th grade, and now Dothan High is 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. So I had kids that were juniors the year before they were moving, and they've already bought their rings. Northview kids have already bought their class rings, and they were like, I'm just going to quit school. I said, you're same friends, you're same people. And so that was kind of, you could feel the tension for a little bit. And then they about get through that, and now we have the pandemic. They don't have pep rallies. They don't have dances. They didn't have homecoming. They missed several games because 6 to 12 students on the team had COVID, or the team we were playing had so many players out and coaches out with COVID. So it was just, that's like the funnest time of our life. Like, I feel like Chris Lee, like I'll go back there in a minute. We didn't know we had it made. So they missed out on so much. They don't have the joy. I said, you're a kid. I said a million times, when you get out of school, you don't know, like you're gonna have to pay your own bills, you know, buy your own stuff. Now your clean clothes appear in your dresser drawers and in your closet, and later on they're not. And you guys are stressing about unnecessary grown-up things before you should have to. They don't get to enjoy being a teenager, being a child, being a student. And there's a lot of anger. There's so much anger.
There is, and I want to welcome my fullback and our classmate, LaRue Freeman, has joined us. Hey, Lou.
Hey, LaRue, I haven't seen him in a while. Jack, my kitty cat, wants to join us.
Bubble.
Oh, yeah.
You know, Jerry, growing up in the 80s, we really lived in a bubble.
Yeah, this is Jack, my kitty. He wanted to join us.
All right.
Oh, yeah,
we really lived in Dothan.
Oh, yeah.
We really kind of lived in our own bubble, not like the kids today.
Yeah,
and you're right. It's hard to describe. It's hard to describe to my children, probably your children, what it was like back then. Because, well, one, they're tired of hearing about it, but there's no real comparison. You know, kids today have grown up with the phones, but they've also, and here's where I give them a little slack. They've grown up with kind of a split brain personality, and what I mean by that is, they can multitask with the best of them. They carry on, most of them can carry on a conversation and look at Instagram or whatever. And I used to get real frustrated like most parents, but I don't anymore because I know that's just the way they've grown up.
Right.
And I read that the average kid's attention span is like that of a goldfish now, 2 to 3 seconds.
I haven't heard it phrased like that. I love that.
It's not a criticism. It's just kind of the reality of how things are.
Right.
But Geri, I have so enjoyed our conversation. This is why these conversations, guys, this is why I've been doing this for over a year, and we're going to continue to do it. Geri,
I love that you do it.
Thank you so much for the awesome stories. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're so welcome. I love it.
It has truly been my pleasure to bring stories like this. Geri is just the epitome of what Northview spirit, Northview. I want to remind you guys, I want anybody who has a business that they want to promote.
Oh, yeah.
Please post it. Please post it in our Facebook group. I want to network. I want people to know what other Cougars do. We have lots of people we can benefit from. Geri can put in there that she tutors, all kind of stuff
Yes.
like that. But
Yes.
please feel free to put that information in there, and then I'll highlight them, and we'll keep doing this. And you're right, Aaron. Once a Cougar, always
Always
a
a
Cougar.
Cougar.
So,
Yeah.
guys, thank you again for joining us. Conversations with Cougars, Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Central. Be safe. We'll catch you again next week.